This podcast is a part of the Podmania Podcasting Network. Check out podmania.co.uk to check out more of our great podcasts, features, reviews, match ratings and previews spanning the crazy and diverse world of professional wrestling.
Welcome to the Stardom Cast, your weekly audio source of all things world-wondering Stardom right here on the Podmania Podcasting Network. I'm your host, Rob Good, and I'm joined as ever by Matt Turner. Matt, how are you on this exhausting week of Stardom wrestling?
I'm doing okay. I kind of want to get this out of the way. I hope we don't make this an every week thing, but last week we talked about Neil Adams passing. This week, George Perez passed, an absolute icon in the comic world. If you're not familiar with George's work, he was the artist on some of the most important stories in comics ever. He was the artist on Infinity Gauntlet, which a lot of the MCU is based off of. He was the artist on Justice League vs. Avengers. He was the artist on Crisis on Infinite Earths. Him and Kurt Busiek had a phenomenal run on Avengers. And my all-time favorite Wonder Woman run is George Perez's run. And not only did he pencil it, but he also scripted it as well. So George was one of the very few people that was an A-plus writer and an A-plus artist as well. And for me, Rob, on a personal level, I'm very grateful that I've been to so many different Comic-Cons and I met so many different and wonderful creators. And George was by far the nicest, and he was the most fan-friendly. So farewell, sir, and thank you for all your hard work. But other than that, Rob, I am fantastic. How was your weekend, my friend?
It was good, man. Didn't do a great deal. My soccer team got thrashed 5-0 by top of the league, so that was moderately depressing. But aside from that, sort of wrapping up at school, heading towards the summer, so it's summer vibes. We've started to get some warmer weather, some nicer weather, so yeah, I can't complain, mate. I can't complain. Now, I saw that you achieved, now am I right in saying, your first successful title defense over the weekend?
Yeah, that was V1. I actually had a really, it was a busy but interesting weekend. I saw Doctor Strange not once but twice, all within a 24-hour period. So that was fun. And then that was Thursday and Friday. And then Saturday, yes, I had a title defense against a young and up-and-coming whippersnapper, Dyson Bennett, who's a really good kid, super athletic. There's a lot of cool spots that I was able to do with him just because based off his athleticism. So that was really, really good. That was really good. I thought the match went really well. But to be perfectly honest with you, sir, the main thing you want to do, and we talk about it all the time in the podcast, is you want to be able to get the crowd in an absolute frenzy. And the crowd really didn't, I thought in my head for all the things we were doing and like the timing and the selling that we'd have the crowd in a frenzy. And they kind of really didn't care. And then afterwards, my dad and my cousin were both at the show, and they're like, yeah, they didn't react to anything. Like, they could have had, somebody could have set themselves on fire in the ring, and they wouldn't have cared. So I guess that made me feel a little bit better, but I kind of like to be the exception to the rule. But all in all, the match was fun. The finish saw me hit the Arisha Hoshiki-style knee, which I've been practicing quite a bit because I think that's like the coolest move since the Ricky the Dragon Steamboat armbar. I hit that knee into a catch wrestling takedown into the double wrist lock, which is my go-to. So I got the tap out win, and I was able to keep the gold. And speaking of the gold, Mr. Rob Goodwin, we're here to talk about Golden Week here for Stardom.
We are indeed, and we are going to preface that by saying, yes, we know there have been multiple dates on the Golden Week tour, but unfortunately, as of recording, they'd only got the first day up. So obviously, you know, we know that it's been an incredibly busy week for Sonny. Hashtag pray for Sonny. So we can only really talk about the first night and then the pay-per-view, but what we'll do is we'll fire through the results to the opening 3 nights, and then we'll go through the pay-per-view, the Fukuoka Goddess Festival show, and then we'll be returning later on the week, and we'll talk about the remaining dates then and anything that we miss out from those opening nights as well. But first, a little bit of news, and this first bit comes courtesy of the Wrestling Observer. We always love a bit of fantasy booking and a little Forbidden Door nonsense, so this comes from the Observer, and it reads thus. Regarding Stardom and AEW, and right now there is nothing to the story past what was written last week, the key interest from Stardom is not Britt Baker nor Thunder Rosa, even though they are AEW's biggest women's stars as well as Jade Cargill. But the ones Stardom are most interested in for big shows are Toni Storm, Jamie Hayter, Hikaru Shida, and Tay Conti. In particular, Julia has said she wants to work with Conti because Conti publicly said she wanted to work with Julia. Stardom would also have an interest in working with WWE if that were to be possible. A year ago, I'd have said that was impossible, but Nick Khan did try and set something up with New Japan last year. Today, it's hard to know, but it would benefit both AEW and WWE also to send younger talent to work in Stardom because they get regular work in front of crowds and work with experienced women. The negative is WWE wants to teach a specific style, and they never worked in sending young talent to Japan. So let's break that down a little bit, because there's a lot that Dave has said in the old Wrestling Observer. The first thing, are you surprised in any way that were there to be a relationship struck up between AEW and Stardom, that Britt Baker, nor Thunder Rosa or Jade Cargill, the 3 biggest women on AEW according to Dave, aren't being targeted by Stardom?
Well, I think Jade Cargill, I mean, she is a big star, but I think she might be a little bit too green to go over to Stardom. Then again, I mean, I'm going to kind of bite my tongue on that one. Considering the fact that there's people that have wrestled in Stardom age 14, 15, and 16, what do I know? Thunder Rosa, from what I understand from some of the people that I know in AEW, does not have kind words for Stardom, so I'm not surprised there. Britt Baker is obviously, she's a huge star, and I think they would both benefit for that. Britt Baker is very good in the ring. I wouldn't say she maybe touches the great needle every now and again. Obviously, she gets over on her character. She is one of the most over characters in AEW, so I think she would benefit from a Stardom run, quite a bit. But the names that they are interested in, I mean, I think Toni Storm would obviously be at top of the list. I mean, how can you not, considering the fact of all of the accolades she achieved in Stardom? So, I'm not surprised that they're kind of their kind of 3 biggest push people. They're like, yeah, thanks, but no thanks. Here's the core, 4 or 5 we want. So I can see their point of view there for basically what the Stardom mold is, right now, present day 2022.
Yeah, and Jamie Hayter, I really enjoyed Jamie's work when she was in Stardom, and I would be very, very happy to see her back in Stardom. Hikaru Shida, be very, very happy to see her wrestling the likes of Mayu Iwatani, wrestling Momo Watanabe, Starlight Kid, Utami. They'd be great matches. Tay Conti, we spoke about a little bit last week when it came out that Julia wanted to wrestle Tay Conti and made it publicly clear in the monthly Puroresu issue 8, which is out now. In that Q&A, she said that Tay Conti was one in particular that she'd like to work with. What I was most interested to see here, or to read here, should I say, is Stardom would also have interest in working with WWE if that were to be possible. Now, I saw this on Twitter, and I saw a lot of negative discourse around that possible relationship. And, it doesn't go unjust. I mean, WWE's booking is notoriously poor, but the idea of using Stardom to train up some of the, people in NXT, or even, sending over the odd big name would be, it can't be bad. It can't be anything but a positive. What's your opinion on this?
Yeah, I think the WWE relationship, I mean, I think that especially their core, top of their division is actually, as far as in-ring goes, actually better than AEW. The Sasha Banks, the Baileys, the Charlottes. the Bianca Belair, is absolutely fantastic in the ring. I think the WWE Women's Division is absolutely fantastic, and I understand, the booking on sometimes the way they treat foreigners. I mean, look what they did with poor Shinsuke Nakamura. I mean, how do you mess that guy up? And we're all still kind of waiting to see what they're going to do with Io Shirai. But then again, on the flip side, they really treated Asuka so well. But I think it would be kind of funny, Rob, that, and I think you'll probably get a kick out of this, is sometimes they don't really know anything outside of their own product. So I can see them be like, all right, we're going to bring, we'll send some of our girls over to Stardom, and in return, some of the Stardom girls will come over here. And I could see like Mayu Iwatani showing up on like a Raw that Io Shirai is just sitting and catering. They'll be like, well, Io is from Japan and Mayu's in from Japan. We'll just give them 11 minutes on Raw and let them go at it. And then they go and have like the best match ever on Raw. It's like they probably wouldn't know. Like, oh, they're both in the same country. Yeah, they'll have a good match. And little they know they've had like 3 of the best women's matches of all time. I could totally see that happen. Like, yeah, you guys got 9-10 minutes. Like, no problem. they're doing dragon suplexes on the aprons.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all. I can see why, as I said before, it's got a little bit of a negative reception, especially because, I think Shinsuke Nakamura is the big one, that the lack of ability apparently to treat foreign stars well. But that last line in Dave's piece, WWE wants to teach a specific style, and that style is incredibly different to the style that Stardom have. So to send talent over to Stardom to, get in-ring reps, which we talk about all the time on this podcast, is so important. To then train them in one specific way, have them wrestle a certain way in Stardom and then come back and then have it trained out of them is sort of counterproductive. So unless you are willing to send over a Sasha Banks who has, very publicly said she'd love to wrestle in Stardom, I don't really see it happening, if I'm being brutally honest. I think WWE is concerned with WWE, and anything apart from that is nothing but speculation. But again, if it happens, it happens. A little fact again from Armani Shoe Exchange. We're going to have to do a little segment where we do Armani Shoe Exchange's Fact of the Week. So Armani, if you're listening, please give us a fact every week and we'll feature it in a segment. But they put on Twitter, actually, some fun Stardom pay-per-view stats. So, are you ready for this, Matt?
I love stats.
Love stats. I know you do. I know you love stats. So, last week, Syuri became the first in the company to appear in 10 pay-per-view main events. She had been tied previously with someone at 9. Who do you think was at 9?
9 main events for Stardom?
For pay-per-views in Stardom.
I'm going to say Utami.
Correct. Well done.
Wow. I just think because they've been running a lot of pay-per-views the last year and a half, and Utami's been the ace the last year and a half. So that's how I did that, folks. I didn't even need to go to the book. Living the Dream, Stardom's 10th anniversary interview by my good friend Rob Goodwin. Boom! How about that for a plug? Unbelievable.
It's getting to the point now where you appear to be taking yourself by surprise when they come along.
That's what it's all about, man. I'm working myself into a shoot, brother.
Also, after the pay-per-view, there are 2 people tied in 3rd place with 5 pay-per-view main events. So Syuri is now top with 10. Utami is 2nd with 9. There are 2 women tied in 3rd place with 5 pay-per-view main events. Matt, can you guess who they are?
Mayu and Julia.
Mayu is correct. Julia is not. I'll give you.
Did I get it?
I will give you one more guess. Mayu correct?
Well, let's go with. I'm gonna go with Himika.
It's Micah.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
How about that? That's a wild stat.
That is a great stat, isn't it? And absolutely fantastic for Micah, who effectively was, a super rookie when she first came into Stardom, and to be at the point now where she's main evented 5 shows, 5 pay-per-view shows for Stardom is phenomenal. And we're going to talk about it later. At that pay-per-view, her and Saya Kamatani put on an absolutely incredible match. So the improvement is incredible. And that entrance alone, what a star. Let's move on. Let's start having a look at some of these Golden Week shows. Now, later on in the tour on the 7th and 8th, which, as we record, have already happened, but of course, we haven't got the shows up yet, there are certain title matches, certain singles matches, and things like that. But for the most part, these opening 3 days have been multi-woman tags. But we'll go through the results anyway, and especially for this first now, which me and Matt have both seen, we'll go through little bits from each match that we think we need to talk about. So, Stardom Golden Week Fight Tour 2022 Night 1 from May the 1st, 2022 from Fukuoka Industrial Exchange Center, Big Rose in Hiroshima, in front of a sellout 590 people. So, the results. Match 1 saw Tekla defeat Momo Kogo with the DDD in 5 minutes and 56 seconds. Match 2 is a tag team match. The Uedatai team of Ruaka and Starlight Kid defeating the Queen's Quest team of Azumi and Hina with the Moonsault in 8 minutes and 6 seconds. Match 3 was a 10-woman tag with the Donna Del Mondo team of Julia, Himika, Maika, Natsupoi, and Mei Sakurai defeating the Stars team of Mayu Iwatani, Hazuki, Koguma, Hanan, and Saya Ida with the Backdrop Driver in 10 minutes and 38 seconds. Match 4, a 6-woman tag team match. The Uedatai team of Momo Watanabe, Rina, and Saki Kashima defeating the Queen's Quest team of Utami Hayashishita, Saya Kamatani, and Lady C with the Kish Kasai. And finally, match 5, our main event, the Konami return match, an 8-woman tag. The God's Eye team of Syuri, Mirai, Amisuri, and Konami defeating the Cosmic Angels team of Tam Nakano, Yanagi Sayaka, Mina Shirakawa, and Waka Tsukiyama when Konami submitted Waka with the Triangle Lancer in 19 minutes and 40 seconds. So, Matt, what would you like to talk about in regard to this show?
I would just like to briefly hit upon match number 3 of the Stars team versus DDM. I thought this was really, really solid, and I thought it was. It seems like all these Stars matches, they always start out with the Dancing Bear. And literally, my first note is nobody wants part of the bear. Like, she's doing the Dancing Bear gimmick. It's almost like as if like Kagama is lava. Like nobody, like everybody gets off the apron. I thought that was a cool little, because like you're gonna have your comedy to start, and you get a little ha ha, and then it's gonna get ramped up. Mayu and Julia's chemistry, and we've seen it before. They had that 30-minute draw just a couple months ago. I mean, their chemistry was really, really solid here. They had some really cool spots. I'm a big fan of when the timing is right and when the ring positioning is right. And sometimes it's really hard to do is that 5-way boot scrape, because anytime you have more than one person running off the same part of the ropes, if you're off just by a little bit, or if the speed is off just by a little bit, you're going to launch the other person into they may go a little bit faster and they may kind of throw their timing off. And the timing was off a little, but for 5 people, I just thought that was super impressive. But I thought that was really good. And then, of course, always when you get Mike or Himmick in a match, you're going to get lariats and then lariat sandwiches all around. But I thought that match was really, really solid. For this match going into to start up Golden Week.
Yeah, absolutely. It's of these 5 matches, there's 2 that I'd recommend you actually go out of your way to go and see, and it's the main event for obvious reasons, which we'll talk about later. And then this match as well, because I feel Stars are at a place at the moment where they've got such momentum that they didn't have before, and whether that's the reintroduction of, they've actually got a healthy size of unit now as opposed to just the 3 of them when everyone was leaving. But the entire chemistry between Mayu and Saida back, Hazuki and Koguma, it just seems like it's a good place to be, and they're in a very good place. Donna Del Mondo, though, Mei Sakurai in this match did very, very well and was highlighted for significant portions, just like she was on the pay-per-view. But overall, a really, really, really fun match. It's always fun to watch Julia and Mayu Iwatani beat the living daylights out of each other. And for 10 minutes, just under 11, it was a really good, fun match to go and check out. What did you give it, Matt?
I had 3.5 stars.
Exactly the same as me then. 3.5 stars. Again, worth your time. For 11 minutes, go and check it out. And then, of course, I assume you're now going to talk about the main event, are you?
Yeah, I thought and I kind of want to get your take on it. How do you think Konami looked on her return? Do you think she looked a little bit rusty? And the reason why I'm or do you think she looked in place? The reason why I'm asking that is because we talked all the time, not only via text message and obviously when we're doing the podcast, like when Konami was getting ready to wrap it up, she was having like phenomenal match after phenomenal match, and then basically her final match with Julia, the unofficial Hana Kimura memorial match. I thought that was fantastic. And then we were kind of like, why is she taking time off? She looks so good. She's in shape. She's at the top of her game. So, going into that, and then we've seen her on social media that she's back, practicing jiu-jitsu, or maybe she never even stopped. She was just posting a lot of pictures. So that's why we kind of weren't surprised that she was going to come back. But, before I get into my take, how do you think that she looked here on her return match?
Look, it's an 8-woman tag. They introduced her slowly, which is wise because no matter how good a shape you're keeping yourself in, there's still 5 months or just under of time away from the ring. I didn't think she looked bad at all. She looked a tad slow, I thought, but other than that, I thought she did tremendously well. What about you? Am I getting the sense that you don't think that?
No, I'm on board with you. By no means I think she looked bad. Like, if you've never seen Konami wrestle before or only seen maybe a couple of her matches, and you saw this, you're like, oh yeah, she's really, really good. But watching her as much as me and you have, throughout the years and whatnot, is that, well, I mean, just, the time that we've been watching Stardom and then her last handful of matches, she seemed like she was a little bit off. Her kicks seemed, they were in there. They were snug, but nowhere near as they were before. She seemed just maybe a little bit rusty and a little bit of her timing was off. So, yeah, I'm kind of almost spot on you with that one, brother, that she didn't look bad, but she just seemed a little bit off, which when we talk about the pay-per-view, I thought that she was on. She was pretty well spot on when it came to the pay-per-view. And I think everybody in the world predicted this was going to be the finish, the triangle answer onto poor Waka. I don't think there were too many people that were shocked. Like, oh wow, that's what they were going for. Didn't see that one coming.
No, it was the right call, especially as we are in Konami's hometown. I thought overall the match was really fun. I'm enjoying Cosmic Angels more and more and more. And again, 2021 Rob would not have said that. But God's eye. There's just something about this team of Syuri, Mirai, and Amisuri especially that just feels special. They've gelled so phenomenally. They feel like they've been a team for years, Matt.
Yeah, they almost feel like Queen's Quest, 7-8 months ago. When it was Azumi, Saya, Utami as a champion, and Momo as the leader and one of the best wrestlers in the world. It does feel absolutely special. And, depending on what happens with Konami, hopefully she stays on. A little bit more than just this. I know she was just for Golden Week only, but then again, you kind of get the taste back again. Who knows if she's gonna get the itch, to come back full time. But if they put her on as the 4th member, yeah, this is like where Queen's Quest was, a year ago. Just absolute loaded roster, our loaded faction. And I haven't seen anything of Amy Sori up until she came into Stardom. I'm completely blown away just by how good she is.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you mentioned it being very similar to Queen's Quest. I've got such early incarnation of DDM vibes because there was no weak member of DDM. The initial trio of Julia, Syuri, Maika, and then you add Himika to that as well. There's no weak link, and that's how it feels here. Sure, experience-wise, perhaps Amisuri is the weak link, and she'll probably take any of the pins that God's Eye eventually take because they still haven't taken any losing pinfalls, but I still think there is just something special about them. And don't get me wrong, Stardom are going to do what Stardom always do, and I'm sure they will at some point get the Artist of Stardom Championships because that is what Stardom tend to do with new hot factions. But at the moment, they feel like the force to be reckoned with. They're on top of almost every single show on this Golden Week tour. So Stardom are fully behind them. In terms of this match, it's a great 8-woman tag. I gave it 3.5, same as the Stars vs DDM match, Matt.
Same as you, my man. As on point again, half a world away, but so in sync.
What we're going to do is then, as I said before, I'm just going to fire through the results for the next 2 nights of Golden Week because they weren't, as we were recording, they weren't uploaded to Stardom World. Anything we miss, any important details we miss, we'll circle back and cover when we come back to you later this week. So, Stardom Golden Week Fight Tour 2022, Night 2 from May 3rd, 2022, from Nagasaki Prefectural Gymnasium in front of 188 people. So, we had a tag match with Ruaka and Saki Kashima defeating Koguma and Hanan, with Ruaka getting a pinfall win over the Future of Stardom champion Hanan with the Freezer Bomb. Very important for what we're going to talk about later. A tag team match with the Donna Del Mondo team of Natsupoi and Himika defeating the Queen's Quest team of Lady C and Azumi, with Himika pinning Lady C with the JP coaster. We have also got a 6-woman tag team match going to a time limit draw, unsurprisingly, with the Oedetai team of Momo Watanabe, Starlight Kid, and Rina, and the Queen's Quest team of Saya Kamatani, Utami Hayashishita, and Hina. There's an 8-woman tag as well with the Donna Del Mondo team of Julia, Maika, Tekla, and Mei Sakurai defeating the Cosmic Angels team of Tam Nakano, Mina Shirakawa, Unagi Sayaka, and Waka Tsukiyama. This time, Maika pinning Waka with the Enka Toshi. And then finally, in your main event, it is God's Eye in an 8-woman tag again, defeating the Stars team of Saya Ida, Mayu Iwatani, Koguma, and Hazuki, with Mirai getting the winning pinfall with a lariat over Saya Ida in 21 minutes and 5 seconds. Matt, what about your opinions of those results?
Again, that's a heck of a visual. Saya Ida Kabashi eating the big lariat from Mirai. You know, we talked about just a few seconds ago about the impressive visual of Lady C eating a brainbuster. That's another finish I'm interested to see, because you know how Mirai builds to that lariat, and for Saya Ida, for as hard as she hits everybody, she has no problem taking it back. So she's really good at feeding for big blows, and Mirai does throw a heck of a left-handed lariat. So I'm interested to see not only that match but that finish as well. It's once these things get uploaded to Stardom World, I will be there with pen and paper ready to take notes. So again, all those matches, they all seem solid, but again, it's multiple. It seems like it's a lot of tag matches, 6-person, 8-person tag matches, but it all seems pretty solid. And once it comes to uploaded on the old Stardom World, we'll give her a look-see.
So we'll move on to the third night, of the Golden Week Fight Tour. This was in Nagasaki. No, it wasn't. What am I talking about today? It was in the Kumamoto City Distribution Information Center in Kumamoto, May 4th, 2022, in front of a sellout 270 people. Match 1, singles match with Rina defeating Hina with the Pink Devil in 7 minutes and 5 seconds. Match 2, tag team match, the Donna Del Mondo team of Tekla and Natsupoi defeating the Stars team of Momo Kogo and Hanan with the Fairing Ring in 8 minutes and 6 seconds. Match 3 was an 8-woman tag team match, the Donna Del Mondo team of Julia, Himika, Maika, and Mei Sakurai defeating the Cosmic Angels team of Tam Nakano, Yanagi Sayaka, Mina Shirakawa, and Waka Tsukiyama, with Julia's woefully underutilized submission move, the Stealth Viper, in 12 minutes and 36 seconds. Match 4 saw the Rossio Gawa time limit draw, the 8-woman tag match, the Oedetai team of Momo Watanabe, Ruaka, Starlight Kid, and Saki Kashima, and the team of Stars, Mayu Iwatani, Hazuki Koguma, and Saya Ida going to 15 minutes. And then match 5, God's Eye once again getting the win with the team of Syuri Mirai, Amisori, and Konami defeating the Queen's Quest team of Utami Hayashishita, Saya Kamatani, Azumi, and Lady C, with Amisori pinning Lady C with a brainbuster in 17 minutes and 46 seconds. I know that neither of us have seen this, Matt, but Jesus Christ, getting Lady C up for a brainbuster is bloody impressive.
Literally, because I don't know any of these results, so I'm literally thinking in my head, like, wow, that's a heck of a visual. I mean, Amy Sora, she's no Azumi or Rina or Hina by any means, but Lady C is a tall lady. I know me. I shared that picture of you with Lady C with the Giant Baba statue. Lets you know that she takes Giant Baba's moves. That's not the great Kali. That's another story for another day. We could do a whole podcast on that. But yeah, that's a heck of a. I can't wait to see that finish because that's a heck of a visual. Her picking up Lady C with those long legs for that brain buster. I'm sure it looked really, really cool. I mean, I guess if you're putting that match together and we're like, yeah, we want Amy Sori over, Lady C because she's the, lack of a better term, the pin eater on the Queen's Quest team. That's a heck of a way to finish that match.
Absolutely. So with that, we'll move on to the sort of main event of this podcast, which is the review of the Stardom Fukuoka Goddess Festival pay-per-view, which took place on May 5th, 2022, from the Fukuoka International Center in Fukuoka in front of 1,156 people. The first time Stardom have run the venue. We opened with a singles match with Hina defeating Waka Tsukiyama with the Power Body Buster in 6 minutes and 25 seconds. Now, Matt, I unashamedly bit on 2 of these near falls. I genuinely thought Waka had broken her duck here.
You're doing a really good job. She gets closer. It's almost like every show or one show during the week, she get a 2.98 and then a 2.9. And then a 2.99. This one, she had 2.99999. I mean, it was so close. And you can see the frustration, when she had that last one. She's just no, that was 3. That was 3. It's your heart just breaks for her. And a match that went 6 minutes long, you're just so invested to get that 3 count. And or for her to get the 3 count. I think we all know it's going to happen against Mai Sakurai. I think that's what they're building towards. And that's okay. I think that's when you're going to get the most out of that first pinfall. Is against her old tag partner in Cosmic Angels. That's the whole build. We're pretty sure that's where they're going, and that's really what we want to see. And again, we talk about it every week, my man. She has 0 wins, and her storyline is one of the most interesting, all in Stardom. So I mean, good on her on playing that role. But I thought looked really, really good here, and they gave it a good, solid, handful of minutes. A lot of basic stuff. Everything made sense. They kept it simple. And this one got the gentleman's 3 stars for me. Great work by both these ladies.
Yeah, I thought it was a good opener. I thought Hina looked really good. Waka Tsukiyama, again, I'm going to echo what you said. She's the most endearing babyface perhaps on the entire roster. And the more she loses, the more you do find yourself desperately wanting her to win. And like I say, that investment in this storyline forced me to bite on 2 pinfalls to the point where I went, oh, thinking she'd won. And I was gutted when I found out she hadn't. But even so, there's plenty of time for Waka. I gave it 3 1/4. I really, really, really did enjoy this opener.
Did you really make that noise?
It was slightly louder, but I'm very conscious of not wanting to deafen our listeners. So we then got a video package to inform us of another Stardom pay-per-view that will be taking place. This time, Stardom Midsummer Champions 2022, announced for the 9th of July at the Takikawa Stage Garden. This was the venue where the opening round of the Cinderella tournament was held, drawing 928 people. Match 2, a 6-woman tag team match. The Stars team of Hanan, Saya Iida, and Momo Kogo defeating the Ueda Tai team of Saki Kashima, Ruaka, and Rina when Hanan gets the pinfall with a roll-up reversal in 8 minutes and 43 seconds. Matt, another entertaining undercard match.
Shocker, right? My first note is Saya Iida destroys everyone. She's slowly becoming, for someone that just came back a few months ago, she's slowly becoming one of my favorites to watch, just because she's so intense and she's built like a fire plug. It's just that girl does not skip leg day at all, or forearm day either. You can tell by the brutal chops she throws. She's so intense in everything she does. And now that she's got Yuji Nagata as one of the teachers, it just adds to the destruction. Hana and Rina, obviously, they work well together. I mean, they're sisters. They had the future title, future Stardom match a few weeks back that I thought was really, really good, and more really good stuff here. And I really enjoyed the finish. How it's basically almost like a counter. It was like a leg lace, like roll through. I thought that was really good. Yeah, it was solid. It was, nonstop action. Nobody looked bad. Everybody got a couple, things in here or there, and then when it was time to go home, it was time to go home. But yeah, it's an undercard match, so you're not going to go out there and be doing top rope brain busters, and you're not going to be doing Canadian destroyers, through a fire table or anything like that. It did what it needed to do. It told a really good story. Again, Saya Ida was able to get over her intensity, and I had this one at 3.25 stars. It was really good for the time that it was allowed out there.
Yeah, the same with me. I gave it 3.25. I just wanted to. Karen Peterson has done a write up on Post Wrestling, and I was reading it because she's got some great translations. So it's a great resource for anyone who wants to go out and check out a write up of the pay per view. But she's got some interesting tidbits from commentary. So Jushin Thunder Liger, who was the ambassador for this pay-per-view, was on commentary as well. And there's some great moments where Liger is just really, really into the matches. He was really into the tag team match, the semi-main. But he referred to Saida as she's totally Queen Kong. And then the commentator, Miki Motoi, said she aims to be like Tomohiro Ishii and Katsuyori Shibata. I mean, Jesus Christ, that hits the nail on the head. She is the love child of Ishii and Shibata. She couldn't be any more like that, could she?
Greatest feud in the history of the Never Openweight Championship, in my opinion, the two best wrestlers to ever hold that belt. Those Shibata Ishii matches, boy, if you like no nonsense, no part of my language, bullshit, hard-hitting wrestling, those two just, it's like, okay, here's the finish. Yeah, see you out there. Yeah, no problem. You're going to owe me a beer. No, you're going to owe me a beer. But yeah, you're right there. They're basically like Ishii and Shibata, and which makes me think, because I think, like, whenever somebody asks me, like, who is this person as compared to like somebody in New Japan, and I always say like Momo is very Shibata, like Momo Watanabe. So now I really want to. Now that I have that comparison in my head, I really want to see a Saida versus Momo Watanabe match so bad. So bad. Hopefully we'll get it in the 84 round 5-star Grand Prix we have coming up here in a few months. But that's funny. I think, yeah, Liger's a genius in many ways. But man, now I was calling her Saida Kabashi. I might call her Saida Shibata now.
Just talking about Saida a bit more, like, this match was obviously very centered around Hanan, which is fine. Obviously, she's the Future of Stardom champion. Do you think Saida feels... And again, I don't mean to be disparaging towards the Future of Stardom title, but do you feel like she's a bit too big for that title now?
Yeah, I think so. I think you're going to see her. They're going to push her up the card quite a bit. I wouldn't be shocked by end of the summer she's a challenger for one of the other two belts. And now I'm thinking about it. Can you imagine a Saida versus Sherry match? Jeepers creepers. That's another. Yeah, especially if they just keep building her, with the momentum that she has. And obviously Sherry's doing a phenomenal job with the World of Stardom title. But I think you're going to see a slow build towards Saida getting somewhere, a title shot for one of those two belts coming up probably towards the end of the summer as we get rolling into the 5-star.
I mean, I'm just trying to think. I mean, red belt I think might be a bit too far. I'll be perfectly honest. But white belt, Saya Kamatani versus Saida, I mean, they were rookies at the same time. That could have an interesting story. A really interesting story.
Well, I see your point there, but here's something else, too, is Sherry's going to be defending the belt, her next title defense against somebody that's out of the promotion. So why... And Mirai had a title shot 3 weeks in. So why wouldn't Saida get a title shot? You know what I mean? If they build her up properly, and that's obviously a match that I know me and you would absolutely love to see. So if they're going to do, those two matches with Sherry, why wouldn't they, give a little shove to Saida? Obviously, she wouldn't win the belt, but at the same time, you're going to make her. You're going to make her in that matches, and as always, it's not who goes over. Sometimes it's who goes over. It's who gets over. And I think Saida would get over massively in a match with Sherry for the red belt.
I mean, you look at what they did with Unagi last year. They not necessarily forced, but they certainly pushed her into a match with Shiori for the SWA belt. So it could happen, certainly. And it could be a moment, Sayurida's proved time after time. She's had big matches against Julia, brilliant match. It was in our top 10 hidden gems of 2021. Had a great singles match with Mayu Iwatani. So she's proved that she can do it on a single stage. But to have that focus, I'll be really, really interested to see how she goes on, because I have really, really high expectations of where she'd go with that. But yeah, overall, I thought a really, really good showing for all involved. And for the amount of time we have spoken about Saya Reader in this match, it was Hannon who was in there for the most and actually got the pinfall. But yeah, Saya Reader certainly winning over hearts and minds.
Yeah, absolutely.
Match 3 then, a 6-woman tag team match between the Cosmic Angels team of Tam Thunder Nakano, Unagi Liger Sayaka, and Mina Shira Liger, defeating the Queen's Quest team of Utami Hayashishita, Azumi and Lady C, with the wonderfully named Break Through the Castle Gates in 10 minutes and 3 seconds. Matt, I can imagine as Cosmic Angels come through that curtain and they are clad in Jushin Thunder Liger masks. I can imagine a tear coming to your eye.
Rob Goodwin, I will, as of this month, in a few weeks, I will have 40 wonderful years on this planet. I've been blessed to see some cool, amazing, and badass things. That might be my all-time top 10. I don't know. I'd really have to run back all the memories through my head. That was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. And I will say this. I didn't know whether I was... They should have done a split screen because they get halfway through the fantastic Cosmic Angels dance with the Liger mask on, and halfway through they cut to Liger, who is just marking out. He has a guy who has a mask on. It's tough for you to emotions, but Liger is one of the best ever, and you can just see how happy he is. And there's one point where I'm like, "No, cut back to the Cosmic Angels." I'm like, "No, cut back to Liger." I'm like, they should just had a split screen. They should just had a split screen because I just thought that was so that was so good, and they were able to nail that dance in the mask. Have you ever worn a mask, Rob, like a ski mask, or just like put on a wrestling match for a hot second?
Honestly, no. The closest I've probably got is when I was doing go-karting and I got a balaclava on, and that was uncomfortable.
That's what I mean. It's like it's hard to see when you have the three of them in sync in the dance. And it was actually funny because I watched this show, and then Friday, right after me and Amber and I had dinner, we were getting ready to go see Doctor Strange. We were sitting in the movie theater, and I was texting you back and forth. And like, yeah, we might do 2 hours of the podcast just on this entrance alone, and kind of popped each other. And then I was sitting there telling Amber, I said, yeah, the Cosmic Angels, they did the dance in the Liger mask. And she goes, well, did they trip? And I go, no. I said, Walker wasn't there. It was just the three good ones. I said, yeah. So she already knew without me even saying. She's like, how were they able to, the four of them were able to dance? I said, no, Walker. She's like, oh, just Tam, Mina, and Unagi. I said, yeah. I said, it was really cool. And she's like, yeah, I bet. She's like, I know your affection for Tam, and I said, you know my affection for Liger as well. A couple years ago for Christmas, she did gift me an autographed Jushin Thunder Liger mask. So full circle on that one, brother. But yeah, obviously, I thought that was really cool. I think it's awesome how they're bringing in these legends from New Japan. Obviously, they're both owned by Bushiroad. Yuji Nagata is still active today. Obviously, Liger retired at the Tokyo Dome in 2020. So, but I think it's really just kind of sprinkling their dust, the Nagata dust and the Liger dust onto Stardom, who's like, it's the hottest promotion in Japan right now. And it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt at all that when you look over at the Japanese booth and you see Jushin Liger, or when you see the pregame of the last pay-per-view and you see Yuji Nagata, and Nagata teaching Saya Ito, the Nagata lock. And you just wonder now if they're going to be doing things where like Liger's teaching Tam Nakano the Palm Strike. I'd be all for that. So I think it's really cool. I think it's really cool that they're doing that, and I'm interested to see what other legends that they would bring in, from New Japan that would kind of just pop their head in and just say, hey, hello, I'm here to kind of put Stardom over. So I thought that was a really cool dynamic and a good way for the legends to help out the upcoming promotion that is Stardom.
What I've liked in Stardom this year has been how quite a few of the wrestlers have been really, really creative in the way that they have changed what would otherwise be undercard, sort of throwaway undercard tag matches, and made them their own, given them their own sort of backstory. And obviously we got a huge Cosmic Angels #our victory for Liger story going on, with Mina Shirakawa being this enormous Jushin Thunder Liger fan. And I thought that was really cool way of making what would otherwise be, no offense, a bit of a forgettable match in the grand scheme of the pay-per-view. And it made it extremely entertaining. Like, you saw Mina overcome with emotion come the end of the match. Absolutely over the moon that Liger had fist bumped her. It was amazing. It was so good. And then obviously you've got all the little tributes to Liger. You've got them all three of Cosmic Angels attempting the Romero special, but, only Mina can get it in on Azumi. And I just thought that was a really, really, really nice touch that they added to it. It was a really fun match. Even without the Liger stuff, it would have been a very good in-ring match, as I'm sure you realize with everyone in there that was. But overall, I had to give it 3.5. I thought it was so fun. I thought the Liger stuff was fantastic. I just wish Mina had pinned Lady C.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. I guess it would have made a little more sense, but again, in the grand scheme of things, for as much, especially towards the end of this, actually with the next match, leading towards the main event, it was just so kind of top heavy and just really, really stacked. So I see your point of view. As always, my man, I'm going to agree with you. I had this at 3.5 stars as well. Shocker, right? We talked about this last week. The Cosmic Angels, when it comes to their triple team and quadruple teams, they're probably the best of any of the factions. Like, you'll see some of the other teams, they'll do really good double teams or 2 double teams in a row with 2 different members. But when it comes to their triple team or their quadruple teams, like, they're really, really good. And it shows, like, what a great leader Tam is, because they do a really good job of, like, Tam setting up the play. Like, she's the coach. Like, okay, they're down. You go here, you go here, you go here. So you can clearly see, like, if you just walked into the room, you know any of these people are, that in their faction, right away when they're setting up these triple team and quadruple team, easy for me to speak, moves, that Tam is clearly the leader of this faction. And it's obviously they're doing hit after hit after hit on these moves. I thought that was great. Lady C is doing a really good job selling. Not that she was bad before, but I've noticed in this match and in the match that we briefly reviewed before on night 1, that her selling is coming a long way. And for someone who is probably the tallest member of the roster, she kind of has to sell a little bit different. So she's been doing a really good job of emoting selling. And really, my last note I have here, Azumi equals superstar. I mean, it's another thing that we touch upon all the time. I mean, she's just really, really coming into her own as far as like curtain to curtain. She's been solid bell to bell since she was 15, 16, 17 years old. But just her presence just coming into the ring, again with the longer hair, with the new gear, with that robe, and then as she comes out, she has the belt, the high speed championship belt. It's just something that adds to the package that is Azumi, and I expect big things from Azumi. Even bigger than what she's doing before. Maybe she finally wins a tournament and breaks your curse, Rob, because I know you've had her pegged winning every tournament for the last 2 or 3 years. So maybe in the next year or 2, she finally wins one of them. But I thought this was really solid. It's really solid, and obviously the Liger stuff. Me being a giant Jushin Thunder Liger fan, just was the extra cherry on top to what was a all around solid and fun match.
Let's move on then to match for the SWA Undisputed World Women's Championship match. Mayu Iwatani defeats the champion Tekla with the moonsault in 17 minutes and 26 seconds. Tekla fails in V3, losing the belt after 96 days. Mayu Iwatani becomes the 9th champion, the first wrestler of Japanese descent to hold the belt since Utami. I know that Syuri, of course, was born in Kanagawa, but she sort of embraced her Filipino heritage for the, hence she could have more challenges. She also, and this is the big story heading into this match, Mayu Iwatani also became a Grand Slam champion, winning every belt on offer to her. The future belt didn't come into existence until after Mayu was ineligible to challenge for it. But what a moment for Mayu Iwatani. Second only to Io Shirai. There are 2 wrestlers who are Stardom Grand Slam winners. Mayu is number 2. What a fantastic moment for the icon of Stardom, Matt.
Yeah, absolutely. And this was obviously Tekla's biggest match since we've seen her in Stardom. I'm assuming probably of her career. She's defending the SWA belt against the icon of Stardom, one of the best wrestlers, not only in Stardom, but of the world. One of probably the best wrestlers in the last 10, 15 years as well. I mean, I know me and you are just ginormous Mayu Iwatani fans. So I'm not understating that statement at all, not one bit. And Tekla really stepped up her game here. I thought this was the best Tekla match that I've seen her in by a mile.
Oh,
and that's not saying that
hands down.
And I'm not saying her matches are bad. I mean, obviously, if you listen to the podcast, we're talking about how great she's been, ever since her debut in January. I mean, she's really getting, everything down. She's really, found her way in the ring, her character down, her entrance, everything. Obviously, she comes out to a death metal song, so that's right up my alley. She breaks out the Legion of Doom light jacket and the really creepy mask, which I thought was really good. Nice little added twist there. But I thought this was by far the best Tekla match that we've seen. And right from the get go, she goes right after Mayu with strikes, and she goes right to the knee, which makes sense. Makes sense. Mayu's obviously the quicker of the two wrestlers. She relies on a lot of those kicks, the super kicks, the buzzsaw kicks, and obviously the patented moonsault. But there was one part in this match, I'm not sure if you noticed, I thought was kind of funny. Tekla's on the outside and she's selling, and she grabs the SWA belt almost as like almost tell to look like the way she looked at it was like, if I don't get my shit together, like I'm not going to have this belt anymore. And then as she had it in her hands, Mayu goes for a dive and she hits Mayu with the belt. And then Momoko goes out there because obviously she's the second for Stars. She stands up and she looked like she wanted to punch Tekla right in the mouth, which I thought was funny for someone who's so endearing, so sweet as Momoko. She was just like, "What? You just hit my leader with that belt? That's illegal. Like, I'm gonna punch you in the mouth." That's the way it looked like to me. I just thought that was kind of funny, the way the look that she gave her. But you knew, like, from the stiff strikes that Tekla was hitting with Maya, there was going to be a receipt, and she hit two super kicks that were like, holy jeepers. Like, they were two of the tightest super kicks, and like the way that Tekla sold it and flew back was just fantastic. And even I think like her mouth or her cheek was busted open as towards the end of the match. So I thought that was that added a little extra onto it. There was a really really close near fall with Tekla did the O'Connor roll into the Bob Backlund bridge, as I call it, and which kind of makes sense because it was like a 2.99 count, and she won a lot of the build up matches, like a lot of the Road to show matches with that same thing. So they built that move up a little bit in the upcoming weeks for this. But ultimately, a couple tombstones and the moonsault gets the win for Mayu Iwatani becoming the SWA champion. Again, this was absolutely solid. Mayu she just can't miss. I had this one at a solid 4 stars.
I had the same 4 stars. There's just so much to like about this match, whether it's the amount of mirroring they did here between this and the match that Mayu lost against Syuri, and lost so comprehensively as well. Syuri destroyed Mayu in that main event of World Climax. But, we had that in the build-up, and then it was sort of that story of Mayu wanting to build herself back up, from that damning defeat and becoming that Grand Slam champion. And I thought they told that story really well. She went for the moonsault, landed on the bad knee, just like she did against Syuri, but this time she was able to take advantage and actually pick up the victory. So I did like that mirroring. I love the fact that both women upped their games. We had tombstones on the outside. We had Tekla hitting Mayu with the belt, like you mentioned, and it was a really, really good back and forth between the pair. And you're absolutely right. The first super kick that Mayu delivers, which we talk about, that exhausted super kick, she caught Tekla flush on the cheek, and she had a lovely imprint of Mayu's boot on her cheek to go along with her loss, which is unfortunate. But I've talked quite a bit about things like lose face. Tekla came down to the ring and she got such lose face. You could really, really tell that, she was losing this battle. And all of the build-up was about Mayu. Everything was about Mayu. The loss to Syuri, the wanting to become a Grand Slam champion. The only belt I've never held is the SWA. Can you imagine if Tekla had pinned her in 10 minutes? Like,
exactly.
There was no build up for that. And, all the plaudits, and rightly so, are going to go to Mayu for this outstanding achievement, and for, the matches that she could now have around the world, which is what she said she wants to do. But Tekla deserves a lot of credit here because I thought she was outstanding here. I thought she was brilliant, from the charisma she has in ring to the way she targeted Mayu's knee to the way she sold the loss. I thought she was absolutely fantastic here. And obviously she's been announced for a match at Flashing Champions, which I am incredibly excited to share with you, Matt. one thing I did notice, and I don't know if anyone else noticed this, as Mayu was coming down to the ring, did anyone else notice that her pyro burnt her?
I shouldn't be laughing at that because I don't laugh when anybody gets hurt, especially on Pyro. Mayu is one of my favorite wrestlers in the world right now. But it's Mayu. Holy shit, I did not notice that. God bless her. She's the best person ever. God bless her.
She came down to the ring and literally the sparklers were going off. And I think some of the stuff must have hit her because she sort of jumped and then sort of laughed. So bless her, yeah. Something else I do just want to say is that Saki Kashima was on guest commentary from after her match all the way through to the main event. And they didn't show it on camera, but there was sort of things on Twitter and things. She was tearing up at the end, and she was on her feet giving a standing ovation to Mayu, because obviously they are close backstage, and to have Mayu accomplish this great feat, it got on top of her a little bit, and I thought that was such an endearing moment, and really did put sort of a lovely little bow on this match. It's definitely one of the matches of the show, and actually, I am just going to spoil it a little bit. These final 4 matches, what a 1, 2, 3, 4 punch. Jesus, it just keeps ramping up and up and up. You can't miss any of these final 4 matches because they are that good. But yeah, fantastic win for Mayu. Now, a little bit of trivia for you, Matt. There are 2 people who are the closest to becoming the 3rd Grand Slam champion. Both are 2 belts away. Can you guess who they are?
Utami would. Yes, got to be Utami because the white belt and the artist, right? Did I get that right?
Utami is one of them, but she has held the artist. She's never held the high speed.
Okay. Oh, I forgot about the high speed. Okay, so Utami and would it be Momo Watanabe?
No, Momo's 3 belts off.
Would it be Sherry?
Nope.
Huh, who was the other one?
Kairi.
How about that? Always nice for when we do timeout for trivia with Rob and Matt.
Though you have just said that.
Now, if I would have studied your book, Living the Dream, started 10th anniversary in review a little bit better, maybe I would have got it. So you got 2 plugs there.
Hang on, just let me think. Is Shuri 2 away as well? Yes, she is.
The white and the high speed, right?
The white and the high speed, same as Utami.
Oh, look at that. I did read the book. Oh, my mom. We're coming off Mother's Day here. My mom would be so proud. I just want to say real quick before I forget, we talked about, I think it was last week or the week before, how well Zumi's doing with the high speed title, you literally have, 4 or 5 belts you can main event big shows with. Obviously the red belt, the white belt, the tag belts, and then because Zumi's been doing so well, you can put a Zumi in the main event of like a Cork and Hall show and with the high speed belt, and you can main event that as well. Now that Mayu is the SWA champion, you can put that, because Mayu is just such on top of her game and such a legend and still in her prime. It's another belt you can put on the main event of a Cork and Hall show, and it's going to sell 800, 900 tickets easy. So that's just wild to me. I've never seen, like I talk about it a handful of months ago, I said that AEW's roster is the deepest roster I've seen since the All Japan Kings Roads days, which is obviously my favorite era of professional wrestling. But not every one of their belts can main event big shows, where it's like Stardom has 5 of them now. That's just wild to me. They could main event any of these Cork and Hall shows with any of these, just about any of these title belts.
Absolutely. You're not wrong there. Match 5 then saw an 8-woman elimination tag team match with the God's Eye team of Syuri, Amisuri, Mirai, and Konami defeating the Donna Del Mondo team of Julia, Mei Sakurai, Natsupoi, and Himika, with Mirai last eliminating Mei Sakurai with the Mirror Mare in 26 minutes and 32 seconds. Matt, another fantastic match.
We know that this was elimination. When we previewed this show, did you say if it was elimination or not? Because I was watching this match and I was like, they're doing over the top rope and they're making like it's a big deal, and I was like, did I miss something here?
No, I think it was always elimination.
Oh, that just goes to show that how easily confused I get sometimes. But yeah, I thought this was really good, and this to me was a shocker. They had Mai Sakurai last until the end. You figured it would have been Julia or Konami or something like that. Going towards the end, or obviously Sherry the champion. But I thought that was pretty wild that they had her, going towards the final was a nice little push for her. And then I did see the result from, I think it was the show after this, where she did have a big victory over a very prominent member of the roster. So they're really pushing Mai Sakurai. I thought how funny it would have been if for the final that she hits Shuri, the red belt champion, with a beautiful elbow drop, puts her foot on her, Ultimate Warrior, Macho Man Randy Savage, WrestleMania 7, gets the 3 count, and then they cart Shuri, the red belt champion, on a stretcher out of the ring, just to put over the brutality of your favorite move ever, Mai Sakurai's, 7-star elbow drop. But yeah, this was fun just because you just didn't know like who was going to get eliminated. Obviously, they did 2 double eliminations, almost like back to back, which kind of took the numbers down. I thought Amy Sora looked really good here. I thought they did a really good job highlighting her here. We talked about how Konami was just maybe about a half a beat off in her return match. That was clearly washed away here because I thought she looked fantastic. I thought she was the MVP of the match. I thought everything she did was good. Her timing was good. The kicks were right back. Any of that little bit of rust that we saw from her just a couple days ago, in my eyes, completely gone. I thought she looked really, really sharp here. How about you, Rob? Were you a little bit more high on Konami in this showing?
Konami and Julia's stuff was absolutely fantastic here. And obviously there is a story. Obviously Julia, she originally suggested the idea for this match to be that if Konami or if God's Eye lost, then Konami would join DDM when she returned to wrestling full time, but Shuri sort of said, no, absolutely not. And obviously the last match at Dream Queendom, the Hana Kimura memorial match, that was between Julia and Konami, so there is history there. There was the Never End flag as well. There was a little bit of comedy on the outside where Julia just laid it out on the apron and Konami slipped on it, which was hilarious. And then they both eliminated each other. So I thought that they worked incredibly well together. I thought Konami looked great. I thought there was a moment where she was locking in submissions. I think it was on Natsupoi, and it just looked brilliant, really, really smooth. It was like she'd never been away. And then you look at everyone else in this match, Himika throwing lariats like it's gone out of fashion, Amisori launching herself around the ring, Mirai looking like an absolute powerhouse, and that's without the likes of Natsupoi flinging herself around the ring. My only surprise, and it's not necessarily a negative, is that Mai Sakurai, like you said, was the one left at the end for DDM against Mirai. Obviously, we're getting highlighting Mirai for several reasons. She won the Cinderella and she would go on to challenge whoever won in the main event. So obviously there needed to be a highlight there. But in terms of Mai Sakurai, how did you think she looked in that closing segment? Because it's all very well highlighting someone, but if that highlighting is highlighting someone who isn't very good at wrestling, then it's a bad thing. How did you think she reacted to basically having the spotlight thrust on her?
I thought she hit it out of the park for the position that she was in. And I think that once it came down to Mirai, who just won the Cinderella, is getting a white belt title shot, they're really highlighting her. And it came down to her and Mai Sakurai. I don't think anybody thought that Mai was going to win. And I thought maybe it's like, they're just basically going to feed her to the wolves. Like she's just going to get destroyed. But Mirai did a good job giving her enough. And I think that Mai did the absolute best with that opportunity. And coming from somebody where if you were to ask me, 2 days ago, who's the weakest member on the roster, I would say, with all due respect, I mean, again, you're wrestling. You have all my respect, especially you're in a fantastic promotion like Stardom. There are no bad wrestlers. But I would say she's probably the person that I, would least, that I probably like almost least care for. And they've almost completely flipped that with this performance here. I thought that she did a really, really good job. It's like, okay, here's your opportunity. What are you going to do with it? In my opinion, my man, to answer your question, she did the best with it. Completely knocked it out of the park. How about you?
I thought she did a lot better. Not necessarily on offense, where I don't think it's been an issue, but her positioning was a lot better. She was feeding for Mirai a lot better as well. She was in the right place. And I know that sounds really patronizing and condescending. I don't mean it to. I thought she looked a lot better, which is great. It's really good for her. Obviously, Stardom are quite high on her, so the better she gets, especially the more she gets that push, then I'm happy. I mean, there are wrestlers like you. There are wrestlers I'd rather see in an elevated spot. Sayurida, for example. But do you know what? If she's worked hard, she deserves it. Give her a chance. We'll see how she does. Post-match, after Mariah's won, we get a little bit of an exchange where, Julia's like, come on, Konami, come and join us. Yuri says no, and Konami just basically tells Julia she's an idiot. I've still got plenty of fight left over for you, Julia, and then ends with never end. So even though this is the end of Konami and Stardom for now, it certainly doesn't sound like it's the end forever, which is a good thing. Hopefully, like you mentioned, Matt, Konami has that bug again, and she'll be back sooner rather than later. And then obviously, it's natural that she goes into God's Eye. Let's move on then to the semi-main event, which was the Goddesses of Stardom Championship match. The Fukuoka Double Crazy team of Stars, Suzuki and Koguma, defeating the champions Black Desire, Momo Watanabe, and Starlight Kid, as Hazuki finally gets her revenge on Momo Watanabe with the Hazuki Strahl in 22 minutes and 19 seconds. Well, we predicted it would not be a happy homecoming for either of the trio of Fukuoka natives. However, not only did FWC win the titles back, it was an outstanding match, Matt.
Yeah, their first one at World Climax was really good. I like this one better, and I'm hoping they have a rubber match. I hope they have a rubber match to settle the score, and I will predict that one will go to a time limit draw, considering the fact the first two I picked went to a time limit draw. But these two, they can literally wrestle every month, and I would never get sick of it. Their chemistry that they have, these two teams, these four individuals are fantastic. And just like the first one, it started off with a crazy Oedo Tai style brawl. The one thing I noticed like when Hazuki was coming to the ring, she's starting to get like that it factor. Like the it factor that Julia's been getting the last 6 or 7 months, like that it factor that like Tam has been getting, the last year or so. Just something about her, like the way that she was like walking the ring and carrying herself, or just like her facial expressions. And I don't know, it might have been something to do with the new gear. I thought their new gear, her and Koguma, looked really, really good. I like how they, whenever they have these big matches or these title matches or the tag matches, they have the matching gear. I'm always a big fan of the matching gear on tag teams. But there was just something different about her, where it was like I just kind of just like couldn't keep my eyes off her. It was just like she just seems like she's starting to get that it factor, and she had a little bit of it, pun intended, I guess. When she came back to Stardom, but to me, she just seems like she's starting to get on that roll towards like, maybe we can start pushing her as a main eventer. I mean, did you notice that at all in her entrance and in this match as well, Rob? It looked like it just seems like there's a little bit more to her now.
I think she had renewed aggression. And it's something that has been missing from Hazuki. We saw glimpses of it at World Climax, but here she was out for blood. And yeah, it could have been the new gear. I was getting a lot of Kagetsu vibes actually from the new gear. I might have been the only one, but I thought she looked great here. She wrestled really, really aggressively, really quickly. I thought all four women looked fantastic in this match. I don't know if you heard Jushin Liger, Momo Watanabe throwing those kicks at Hazuki. Jesus Christ. Even Liger was like, oh my God, what is in her boot? What the hell? Because they sounded like cannon blasts.
The one thing I've noticed, and I've noticed a lot with Hazuki, especially, I know the Patreon episode, I think the next one we're reviewing is her and Kagetsu, is Hazuki's like the greatest feeder as far as head strikes. And sometimes it's one thing if you're going to get kicked in the chest, if you're going to get forearmed, or if you're going to get chopped, you kind of, you know where to feed the chest or, feed a certain part of your body. With head kicks, especially like coming off the ropes, sometimes the timing might be a little bit off. And you might catch one in the ear or the head, or you get knocked loopy. It's happened to me before. It just happens. But it's just I've never seen anybody feed for a head kick, especially running. Whether it's Momo running or whether it's Hazuki running, because sometimes your timing, like I said, could be a little bit off, and it could be a little bit scary. It just like blows my mind how well she feeds for those head kicks. I think that's what Liger was kind of almost like popping for. Yeah, it was something else. I mean, Starlight Kid was really well. He did really good here, as always, calling him the same thing. But really, the last stretch of this match was kind of the Hazuki and Momo story, was it not, Rob?
Absolutely. And I do just want to take it, because I knew we'd focus more on Hazuki and Momo Watanabe, as that was sort of the story going in, and it was the main body of this match, and it looked awesome. But I thought the high-speed stuff between Koguma and Starlight Kid was phenomenal. The only bit, really, that's I wasn't really a fan of was Starlight Kid should never be allowed near any weapon ever again, because those hammer shots she delivered with the ring bar hammer were dreadful. They were extremely poor, but that is a very, very small negative. I thought that everyone performed tremendously, and honestly, I thought this was better than their match at World Climax as well. It's my favourite tag team match from Stardom this year. I gave it 4.5 stars. I thought it was great.
Yeah, sounded like we're repeating ourselves. I agree, sir. It is the best Stardom tag match I've seen all year, and I also gave it 4.5 stars as well. I think we're almost dead on just about all of our, like, right to the quarter star on what we have for the show. But I thought the ending was really good. How they looked like they were double. It made sense. Momo and Starlight Kid are the heel tag team, and they have to constantly hit Hazuki with these double team moves in order to get the advantage. And it's almost like they're blitzing Hazuki at the end. And I was sitting there watching it, I'm like, man, this is really good. But they just hit poor Hazuki with like 3 or 4 things, and Hazuki doesn't really have a comeback. And I thought, okay, this is, Momo's going for the Peach Sunrise, or she might have been sent her for the Peach Thunder. You kind of didn't know which way she was going to go with there. And I was like, okay, well, that's going to be the finish. But it would have been nice if maybe Hazuki got something in, and she held her up for like just a split second too long, and it was enough time for Hazuki to, wriggle free and get the Hazuki stock cradle. I'm like, that's why they did it. It's the underdog story where she got hit with 3 or 4 big things, one after another, after another, and then she does the babyface thing where she pulls out. All it takes is 3 seconds. I thought the finish was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't fault it in the slightest. And they actually teased the Hazuki straddle before as well, with Momo basically just kicking her out of it, showcasing, I've beaten you twice, I'm stronger than you. And yeah, I can't believe how much Hazuki actually took without being pinned. I mean, she got hit with the Tequila Sunrise, she got hit with the Peach Sunrise, she got hit with a chair that broke. She was hit with a lot, but overall, a really, really, really good match. And definitely the best tag match in Stardom this year. Post-match, Koguma would invite Mayu out, but would also turn her singles match with Azumi later on the Golden Week tour into a high-speed championship match. So that would take place, I believe, on the 8th of May. But again, as we haven't got them on Stardom World yet, we can't review that for you. But I imagine it was great. Match 7 then, and our main event of the pay-per-view was the Wonder of Stardom Championship match. Saya Kamitani, the champion, defeating the homecoming girl Maika with the Phoenix Splash in 24 minutes and 58 seconds for V5. Now, this match, Matt, we've seen Saya Kamitani and Maika lock up a couple of times now, and each match has gotten progressively better. Their Cinderella final match was a really good match. This blew it out of the water for me.
Yeah, I totally agree. And when the tag match finished, again, me being a primary tag guy, I'm like, yeah, that's going to be, even like when the card was announced, I was like, all right, obviously Saya and Mike is going to go on last, but nothing's going to beat that tag match. And the tag match happened. And I'm like, yeah, I know Saya and Mike are going to have their working boots on. They're both fantastic wrestlers. I'm sure it's going to be a fantastic match. But it's no way it's going to be better than the tag match. And this was my favorite match of the show. How about you?
Yeah, completely agree. I thought Maika, with the new gear, the ring entrance, the way she carried herself in this match, she was unbelievable. She was fantastic. The progress and the growth in Maika, to the point where, would you class her as a main event talent or just under?
Nope, now I would. Because this is a main event of a pay-per-view that drew over 1,000 people, and she had the best match on the show. And considering the fact the last 4 matches were really, really good, if somebody on Twitter sent me a message that they would say, I think Mayu and Tekla was the best match of the show. Sure, it's your opinion. That I'm not going to argue against you. But you had literally 4 matches that could be considered best match of the show, and me and you in agreement that this was match of the show. But I think Maika is you can put her up in the tier of main eventer. Yeah, and I thought it was funny that they gave her the Macho King Randy Savage entrance. And much like you talking about how poor Mayu burned herself on the pyro, did you notice that Maika, she almost hit her head off like one of those light balls going towards the entrance?
I did, yes. I thought they did tremendously well, to be fair, the guys that that carried the sort of chair thing in. Thought they did remarkably well as Micah was doing her best King Mabel impression. Overall...
Hold on, time out. I went Randy Savage and you went Mabel. I tell you what, man. Yeah, we just spent the last 2 minutes putting Micah over, and then you no disrespect to the late great King Mabel, but you went Mabel and I went Randy Savage. Oh boy. Go ahead, sir.
But yeah, I mean, Micah did phenomenally, and I'm sure we're going to talk a little bit more about that, and rightly so, because this, as much as Micah's performance in the 5-star against Utami was outstanding, her match at Tokyo Super Wars was good against Utami. Her match at the 10th anniversary against Utami was good, but it was not necessarily divisive, but people either really liked it or weren't bothered. This match, it was just fantastic. And Saya Kamitani is on a Worker of the Year trajectory because every match she's had, she has knocked it out of the park. Natsupo, Unagi, this one here, she hasn't had a miss. And the bumps that she took in this match, like we talk a lot about Saya's athleticism, her unique style of offense, her high-flying offense, but here, she took some outrageous bumps. Like, the stuff on the apron, the superplex, the top rope brainbuster. Holy God, Matt.
Yeah, there was also a spot where Saya went for the top rope, Hurricane, and Micah caught her. I'm like, I've seen this spot before. She's going to hit her with a power bomb. It's a cool spot. But instead, Micah dropped her forward. And when you're coming down with that speed and someone as strong as Micah, like she went face first in the turnbuckle. And if you don't get your hands up at the right time, if you get your hands up too fast, it's going to look terrible. If you get your hands up, are not fast enough, her face is going to be looking, pretty well beat up because you're coming down at a pretty fast force there. But yeah, I mean, she kind of had to take these big bumps for Micah because that's her offense. That's her offense, and you want Micah to look good in the match. So this way, when Saya goes over, it makes her look even better. But even, she has the speed advantage of this match, but she did the move she's been doing for a little bit now, the schoolboy suplex spot. And when she was trying that, and I'm like, she's going to do it, but it's only going to look like maybe 80% good. Because that's Micah, is obviously the bigger opponent. And she hit it perfect, the perfect bridge, everything. And I thought the finish, too, was brilliant. Micah's going for the Michinoku driver, which is a match she's won, she's won many matches with. And they almost do akin to one of my favorite, we talk about Macho Man Randy Savage, one of my favorite matches of all time, the Ricky Steamboat Macho Man Randy Savage WrestleMania 3 finish, where Savage picks up Steamboat and Steamboat inside cradles him for the 3 count. So Micah picks up Saya for the Michinoku driver, and on the way down, Saya rolls through, but then she rolls all the way through and almost deadlifts Micah into the Star Crusher, which I thought was really, really cool. She gets the 2 count there, and I was like, I figured Saya's going to go over with the Phoenix Splash. It's the main event of the pay-per-view. You need to go over with your coolest move. But I was like, if that's the finish, I'm cool with it. So she hits her with like her secondary move, and then she debuts the 450, which I've never seen her do before. Has she done that move before?
Not that I can think of, actually, Matt. No.
She does the 450. It doesn't look like Too Cold Scorpio 1996 good, but it looked pretty good. But that wasn't the finish. Then she gets up and she hits the Phoenix Splash. So I love the fact that she hit those 3 big moves in a row. The way she got into the Star Crusher, Micah kicked out. So she goes to the top rope, hits the 450, and she's like, okay, I got her down for a couple seconds. Let me really put her away. And hits a pitch perfect Hayabusa Kota Ibushi style Phoenix Splash for the win. I thought this was, hitting those 3 moves in that sequence, the way that she hit them, I thought was the perfect way to end, which was like the perfect match. I had this at 4 3/4 stars. And again, I will ask this question. Is this the best Micah match you've ever seen?
Yes. Best Micah match I've seen. And that's not to say that Micah's output's been poor by any stretch of the imagination. She's had some absolute bangers. But I just think these two have such a good chemistry. And Saya references that post-match by saying that they are rivals. And I think that's very, very true. I think these two will be, what's the Joker say, destined to dance forever or something like that. So I'm looking forward to far more matches between these two. Now, my question to you is, I foolishly omitted the two defenses at World Climax between for Saya, Utami, and Tam. My question to you is this your favorite Saya defense of the year?
I'm going to back up a little bit because her first defense was against Unagi. To me, that was kind of a miss. It wasn't a bad match, but I thought for your first defense, it needs to hit a home run. But she hit home run with Natsupoi, home run with Utami, home run with Tam, and a home run on this match. I mean, that's almost like saying, what is your favorite of the Flair Steamboat 89 matches? There's really no wrong answer. I'm going to say I think the Tam match might be my favorite just because that was a little more wild. It was a little more like Tam really going for broke to get that belt back. The backstory to that was a little bit better. But to me, there's really, even throw the Natsupoi match in there, I think between those four matches, there's really no wrong answer. But I would say the Tam match, maybe the Utami match second and this third. But I just really, if you were to ask me that tomorrow, you'll probably text me tomorrow. Hey, what's your favorite? I may give you a different answer. But we talked about how I had like Azumi as like the number 3 wrestler of the year, and then I think I had Okada number 1, Sherry. Like, geez, I mean, you can now you have to put Saya in that category as a top 3 or 4 wrestler for this year. I mean, it's just unbelievable. But why don't you, there, good sir, answer your own question? Because I would like to know what your favorite Saya Kamatani title defense is.
It's between this and the Tam match. I think very much in the same sort of ilk as yours. It's this, Tam, and Natsupoi all as one ABC. They are very much interchangeable, but, Syuri is, I imagine, and rightly so, people's worker of the year. I mean, good God, there's very few, if anyone, who's as good as her right now. But Saya Kamatani, low-key, just whenever she's given the tab or whenever she's given the nod, just insists on putting on bangers. And again, to think where she has come from, like, and how quickly she's grown, like, it's frightening. In a good way. But overall, what a match. Mirai obviously comes out, sets that up for the next Stardom pay-per-view, because obviously Mirai won the Cinderella, officially laid down her challenge for the winner of Saya Kamatani and Maika. And we are going to just quickly run through that card in a moment because that has been announced. But before we get there, just a couple more things. So on the 13th of May, in 4 short days' time, we have got the second installment of the New Blood series, which of course has got matches such as Suzu Suzuki and Mei Sakurai on it, which I'm sure everyone is going to enjoy because Mei Sakurai is going to be beaten pillar to post. Poor her. And we've also got the Cosmic Angels team of Mina Shirakawa, Unagi Sayaka, and Haruka Umasaki against Young Oedatai, Starlight Kid, Rina, and Ruaka. Also, the return of Aoi from Just Step Out. So there's that as well, which I'm very excited about. May 15th is the Korakuen Hall, the next Stardom Korakuen Hall show, which of course is going to be main evented by the Queen's Quest General Election 5-way battle, establishing the new leader of Queen's Quest, Azumi, Utami, Saya Kamatani, Hina, and Lady C, all there. Also on that card, we have got Amasori versus Sayarida in a singles match. Syuri and Mirai versus Maika and Himika, which I am incredibly excited about. That is going to be a blinking great match. And then we've also got a pair of 8-woman tags with DDM versus Cosmic Angels and Stars versus Oedatai. The next pay-per-view outing for Stardom is Stardom Flashing Champions, which is at Ota Ward City Gym on the 28th of May. Now, at the time of recording, there was only 4 matches announced, but I've literally just had a notification through, and the full card has just been announced. So I'll read that back to you now. So again, Stardom Flashing Champions, the next pay-per-view, Ota Ward City Gym, the 28th of May. We have got, for the future belt, Hanan versus Ruaka. The Artist of Stardom Championships are going to be on the line, with Mai Himipoi, the champions, against Saki Kashima, Starlight Kid, and Momo Watanabe. High Speed Belt, we have got Azumi versus Tekla. SWA belt, Mayu Iwatani defending against Fukuoka Death. I'm not entirely sure how that works, with Fukuoka Death also being Japanese, but maybe it's because she's a clown and the clown doesn't have...
I was ready to cut you off, but no need, brother. You ran right through the offense. You got it, my man. You keep going.
We've also got a Goddess of Stardom title defense with the new champions Fukuoka Double Crazy defending against Julia and Mai Sakurai of DDM. And then on top, we have got a white belt match, Saya Kamatani versus Mirai, and a red belt match, the champion Shuri defending against Prominence's Risa Serum. Matt, what jumps out on you that card? Stacked card, every belt on the line.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much momentum with the two of them. Obviously, Shuri's the champion, so you can't really push her any farther than she is. Mirai's getting this huge push. And Saya obviously putting on, I mean, she's best white belt title reign since Momo. You know, no disrespect to Tam or Julia. Well, Arisa. Arisa's was really good as well. But I mean, she's trying to steal the show. And, I think the match I'm looking for the most is Mirai and Saya. Just I can't pick a winner. I can't pick. I think all the other champions are going to retain, but I can't pick a winner in that Mirai and Saya. Obviously, you know, we'll see the build as it comes to it, and we'll obviously do the review with our predictions. But that's the match I'm probably looking forward to the most, because Mirai's putting on absolute bangers, and obviously we just talked about Saya Kamatani just going out there and stealing the show, you know, every chance that she gets.
Don't be surprised if we come out of that pay-per-view talking about Azumi versus Tackler.
Yeah. Oh, that's... Man, it's so good. So good. There's so much good stuff. And then you have, you know, Mayu Iwatani, who acts like a clown, going up against an actual clown.
Well, we talk quite often about how it takes a very specific type of wrestler to have a good match with Fukuoka Death in her clown gimmick, not as Kaori Yoneyama. And Mayu is that. So hopefully that will be oodles of fun. There's not a chance that Mayu is dropping that belt to Fukuoka Death, though the idea of Fukuoka Death rocking up in AEW at Forbidden Door is possibly the most entertaining thought I've ever had. So well, can you imagine that? Fukuoka Death rocking up and challenging someone.
Now that's a great segue, sir, because before this started, I told you about this 3-point plan I have with Mayu Iwatani going to the Forbidden Door. It is okay if I throw this out to you there, sir?
Please do.
Okay, so obviously there's some people that are saying that nobody from Stardom is going to show up at Forbidden Door because there is a Stardom pay-per-view. However, I think that this would now be the opportunity where Mayu winning the SWA title, it is her key to the Forbidden Door, which, you know, I've heard people say before, which I thought is pretty fun. So, okay, so here's the deal. So Mayu is going to go over to the AEW pay-per-view. She's not going to be on the Stardom pay-per-view. So we're all upset. We're hurt. Our heart hurts. We do not have Mayu on this pay-per-view. So now I am going to play the role, Rob Goodwin, of the booking committee of Stardom, and you are going to play the role of the biggest Stardom / Mayu Iwatani fan in the world, which I believe that you are.
Yes.
So there's 3 big voids that Mayu, not on that pay-per-view, is going to leave. And I have to try to fill them. So I'm going to try to go 3 for 3 here. I'm going to try to sell you, sir. 3 for 3 on why you should buy this pay-per-view. Number 1, the biggest void that Mayu not being on this pay-per-view, is a match of the year contender, right? We always know that Mayu, when she's on these pay-per-views, she always has a, you know, match of the year contender. So me as the booking committee, what can I possibly give you to make up for that? So I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to put the red belt on the line, the World of Stardom Championship on the line. My champion, Shuri, she's going to defend the belt against Utami. That is going to be my main event. Now, we've seen them have 2 title matches last year, 2 of the best matches in all of wrestling. By the time this pay-per-view rolls around, it'll be 6 months since we've seen them in the ring in a singles match. And this is a completely different dynamic because Shuri is the champion this time, and not Utami. So it changes things a little bit. It makes Utami to be a little bit more of the aggressor. So it's a different dynamic. And then another dynamic on top of that, good sir, is the 2 title matches that they had last year. Shuri was not the leader of her own faction, and neither was Utami. Shuri is now the leader of God's Eye. Utami, I believe, will win that scramble match or whatever they're having, and she will be the new leader of Queen's Quest. So you kind of throw, you know, some extra toppings onto the cheeseburger there, giving you that match. Now, Mr. Rob Goodwin, Mr. Stardom pay-per-view buyer. Is that a good void to fill? Are you happy with that that option that I gave you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I'm 1 for 1, folks. Number 2, when you do not have Mayu Iwatani on your pay-per-view, you lose star power. Arguably the biggest star ever in that company. She has been there since day one. She's not going to be there. How can I fill that void? Oh, yes, we brought back one of the biggest stars we've ever had that was wrestling on a worldwide status for the last 3 or 4 years, in Kairi. So I tell you what I'm going to do. I know Mayu's not there. She comes with great star power. He's not going to be there, but I'm going to give you Kairi versus Tam. Does that help you, consumer sir? Does that help you fill the void of the star power with Mayu Iwatani not being there? Did I go 2 for 2?
Yes, you certainly did. You certainly did.
Okay. Now here's number 3, and what I'm doing, I know it's an audio podcast, not a visual. I'm taking a drink right now, and I'm making a sign of the cross because I know this is going to be a surefire home run. If Rob can 100% be 100% honest with me and say that he does not like this, I will shave my head on Twitter because I know you're going to like this. So the number 3 void that you lose with Mayu Iwatani not being on your show / pay-per-view is you do not have someone coming to the ring throwing things. Obviously, Mayu comes in, she throws the tennis ball into the crowd. Why we never see the camera pan to the person that catches it, I don't know. I think that would be fun. Okay, so how am I going to fill this void? This consumer wants to see one of my wrestlers throw something into the crowd. I know what I'm going to do. Here it is, Rob. You sitting down, buddy? Are you listeners sitting down? This is home run of home run. You're going to have Koguma come to the ring in an ice cream truck. Hold on, I'm not done, sir. You're gonna have all the other members of Stars hanging off the ice cream truck, throwing frozen treats into the crowd. Right? Throwing frozen treats into the crowd. Now, that's right, I got you. I'm 3 for 3, right?
Absolutely, mate. If you give me that at Battle at the Top, I'm a made man.
Now, I'm going to go one step further. Now, maybe it's because I saw Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness twice, all within a 24-hour period. Maybe I'm going crazy. But I'm going to give you one better, sir. So I usually on these pay-per-view shows, we try to push somebody in the middle card towards either the white belt or the red belt. Now, we just talked about how I think that Saida should be there, hopefully sometime soon. Here's how we push Saida to the upper tier of the card. So what you do is you put a plant in the crowd. Now, if you don't know what a plant is, it's somebody that's a worker that's pretending to be a fan. And you have this plant. Maybe it's a gentleman that's training at the New Japan Dojo. And you have him standing on top of a chair trying to catch one of these fudgicles or ice cream sandwiches or whatever it is. Saida fastballs said fudgicle to this fan / plant. He takes a bump off his chair, and when he gets up, he's all covered in blood. I mean, now she's ready for the main event. You just had Saida bloody somebody with a fudgicle.
Yeah.
Come on.
I don't know how to follow that, man. I think you've knocked it out of the park. I hope that everyone that's listening to this is giving you a very well-deserved round of applause. I imagine that is 100% going to happen, beat for beat. And Rossi, I know you listen, so take heed, my friend. Start looking for some ice cream trucks. Anyway, let's bring this episode to a close before Matt comes up with anything else crazy to throw at Nagoya in June. I just want to tell you about our Patreon episodes for this month. The first of which will drop on the 11th of May, which is the Kagetsu versus Hazuki 8th anniversary in Osaka red belt match. We are going to be doing a match review of that. That will drop at 6 p.m. British Standard Time on the 11th of May. We then follow that up on May 25th with the show review Stardom X Stardom 2019, topped by Utami versus B. Priestley for the red belt and Arisa versus Jungle for the white belt. I must apologise for the lateness of the June poll to all our fantastic patrons. It is 100% my fault. However, I just want to read through the options. We have got on the poll for this time the Stardom 9th anniversary show review, backed by popular demand, a Mayu Iwatani red belt retrospective for her second reign with the belt. Stardom X Stardom 2018 show review. Arisa Hoshiki versus Hazuki from Stardom World Big Summer in Tokyo from Arisa's fantastic white belt run. And the winner at the moment, which I did not see coming, and is actually brought to us by Darren Chatton on our Patreon, who said he'd love to hear this. A fantasy booking battle between me and Matt to book our ideal Stardom pay-per-view card top to bottom. That is currently winning, Matt.
Yeah, you showed that with me this morning, and I was like, yeah, I got the gears turning. And I don't know. You might be in trouble if it's me versus you, considering the fact that what I just booked for the June pay-per-view. So I got to cook them coming on ice cream. What do you got?
Mate, how do I mean, short of us doing it on a river and having Kyrie come down in a pirate ship, I can't beat that.
Man, I think you just did. Damn it.
But no, speaking of our Patreon, I just want to thank everyone who has subscribed to our Patreon for www.patreon.com/the StardomCast. We've had an influx of people subscribing, and honestly, we can't thank you enough for the support. We've got good things coming your way. We've got some video podcasts that are going to be coming courtesy of Brandon Neal, who is going to be doing the video accompaniments to our audio podcasts, our Patreon exclusive audio episodes. They are going to be going on to the red tier. We've also got a lot of other things coming your way as well. I just want to quickly shout out all of our patrons: Joseph Usher, Rob Jones, Niagara Driver, John Owen, Velkage Bracker, Tom, Ed BC, Brandon Neal, Steve Clark, Emerson Stone, Alex Tremaine, Mike, Jeff Baker, Steve Cacklemanos, Colin Matthew, Eric Sandoval, Ben Grimshaw, Devontae Walker, Glenn Lake 8, Darren Chatton, Chris Sensalo, Plug Pedro, Andrew Watts, Andy Knudsen, and then our newest patrons, Lewis, Douglas Cole, Peter Haas, the Hammerhawk, Steve the Teacher, and Trey. Thank you, all of you, for subscribing to the Patreon. We thoroughly appreciate the support of every single one of you. In the meantime, thank you so much for listening. You can subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast. Thank you so much to the people that have given us 5-star reviews and have written reviews and things like that. We read them all. Thank you so much. It's helped us go up the rankings on both Apple and Spotify, so keep doing it. It's amazing. Thank you so much. You can talk to us or find us on social media at the StardomCast: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Go and check us out. We are all over that. We'll hopefully be back at a regular time on Sunday. We'll be talking the rest of the Golden Week tour and, of course, New Blood 2 as well. So keep your eyes open for that. In the meantime, you can talk to me on Twitter at @RealRobGoodwin. Matt, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter and or the Instagram. Just search Matt Turner OF. And I just got an email that the Dream Match 2 shirts with me and Andy Header versus Thunder Rock have just shipped. So I should be getting those in a few days. I'll put them up on Twitter. And if you guys want one, just send me a DM and I'll shoot one out to you.
And I've seen the design. It is absolutely amazing. So definitely try and get your hands on one of them if you can. In the meantime, thank you so much for listening, guys. And we'll talk to you guys again soon.